Woodland Brutality 2025 is next month, and I realized that I never posted my 2024 match video, so here it is. I competed in American Standard Division. The division is named such because this is a set of equipment that most people have at this point. The handgun must have iron sights only with 17-round magazines or less, and the rifle must be in an intermediate caliber using a red dot and iron sights only or a 1.5x prism or less. On this first target array, the paper behind these steel knockdowns are no shoots. I'm using the Beretta 92 GTS at this match. It's the same handgun I used to win Service Pistol Irons Division at CQB Brutality the month prior. You'll notice anytime we go under one of these Cooper tunnels here that we have to drop the mag and shoot clear. From this position, the shooter reloads and neutralizes the Texas Star and the 3 knockdown plates. Drop mag and shoot clear and crawl under the next set of sticks. And from this position, it's time to rotate the spinner. This Beretta ships with a red fiber optic front sight, and while I've used red fiber optic front sights for a while, I've recently switched away from them. We'll talk more about that later. One of the problems I have with them is I try to shoot at red dot speed because my brain's seeing a red dot and I want to just shoot as fast as I can with the red dot. And you can't do that with iron sights. You got to actually line them up. So I've gone back to standard black front iron sights on most of my pistols that I shoot irons with at this point. And these are rubber hanging infinity targets. They'll wiggle slightly when a round passes through them, and the shooter has to get 2 hits each on these targets in sweeps. I am second in American Standard Division on this stage. The stage begins with the shooter running forward about 50 yards to engage the static steel with 2 hits, and there is an activator that falls out of the way, and then the Y swinger starts moving. I do have to drive the activator out of the way. Once the Y swinger starts moving, it takes me several shots to recognize where I need to hold to ambush the plates, and then I get them both in sequence. Once those are neutralized, I drop the magazine out and then fire the last round out at the steel. I now have a clear pistol and I can safely holster. Now I advance forward to the first berm. The rifle's been in condition 3 to this point, so I have to chamber it. And I'm going to shoot supported off the berm. There are 4 targets out here from about 100 to 400 yards. I have to hit them each twice in sweeps. So 1, 2, 3, 4, then 1, 2, 3, 4 again. Shooting without magnification like I am in American Standard here, it's really important to memorize the terrain features of where the targets are. Sometimes the stands or the sticks stand out more than the targets themselves, and those can be your visual cues of where the targets are. This is even more important when you're shooting in bad weather conditions like here. There's just enough rain and haze in the air that it does obscure the targets downrange. The lead and steel Promethean I'm using, it does not have any sort of BDC reticle. When I'm using a red dot like this, I use the known size of the targets to determine my holdovers at distance. Now time to run forward to the next berm. It's about 100 yards away. And from this position, there's going to be 3 targets remaining and 1 bonus target to finish on. As we approach the berm here, you can see the type of targets we're shooting at. This one is a half-size IPSC. All the other targets used on this stage are 2/3 IPSCs to full-size IPSCs. This rifle is equipped with the unrivaled muzzle brake, and you can see shooting close to the ground here, it does kick up quite a dust cloud. It really isn't annoying to the shooter, but it can be annoying to people standing next to you. On the positive side, the rifle really doesn't move at all with this muzzle brake installed, and it allows me to rapidly read my impacts downrange and adjust my fire accordingly. And I do make the final bonus shot. I am 4th in American Standard Division on this stage. On this stage, there are 3 targets out to about 400 yards. The shooter has to engage them with 1 hit each from several different positions. Here, the shooter could go kneeling or prone, but what I'm doing is I'm pulling the wall towards me and using it as a support rest. Now that I know where I need to hold to hit that target, the subsequent engagements are going to be much easier. On this side, I put my foot down on the prop and push into it to support the rifle. You can see how my hand is kind of pinching the prop and around the fore end at the same time. Shooting clear on the poppers and making a hit gives me a minus 5-second bonus. Move the wheelbarrow forward to the next prop, and I'm going to have to engage the target again from around each side of the prop. Note how I've put my arm through the prop, locking it in to support the rifle.
Next position.
Moving to the right side of the barricade, the engagement repeats. Note how I'm going to push my rifle into the prop using my support hand.
Drop mag, bonus shot.
One last bonus target. The rifle's clear. Got both bonuses on the stage. Now I have to load the weighted bag into the wheelbarrow and move it forward.
Good.
From this final position, I reload and have to engage the same targets again. This time I'm going to use the wheelbarrow for support. We're shooting off a prop like this. I tend to put my hand underneath the rifle to make sure that I have clearance above the prop and I don't accidentally send any rounds through it. There's a couple knockdown targets from this position at about 25 yards. And once those are finished, there's the Minimo target that has a chest activator that stands the head up, and then you have to knock the head back down. The bright sunlight is causing the red fiber optic sight to flare out, and combined with my astigmatism, it's making it appear to be much larger than it actually is.
Good sight picture.
Fiber optics out.
Hit.
So while I can hit the body of the target easily, hitting the activator zone in the chest and then the head is much more difficult than it normally would be.
Clear.
You gonna put fiber optics on all of your guns now? I do have them on all my guns.
Clear slide hammer holster.
Lighting conditions varying this much between the shooting position and the target location is not something I've previously encountered in Arizona, where we don't have trees like this range does in West Virginia. This stage is one of the reasons why I've swapped to solid black iron front sights on my competition pistols. Even though I struggled on that final target, I'm still second in American Standard Division on this stage. This stage requires that the shooter do 5 rounds of suppressing fire between different positions. If you do actually make a hit, it is a bonus while you're doing this. Even though I've walked through this course several times, actually seeing the targets between the trees is a bit of a challenge. Suppressing fire again as I move forward. And I'm going to re-engage the steel from this tree here. It does take me a little bit to get in position to actually see where the target is. Have to come out a bit further away from the tree to actually see it on the left side here.
Forward to the logs. 2 hits each on the static steel.
Once I've made the hits on the static steel here, I have to drop the magazine and fire the last round out. Well, the magazine wasn't all the way out of the mag well. It did not feed the next round, and it did fire the last round out of the chamber. Now I have to drag this weighted dummy back behind cover here.
Over. Grab your rifle. Proceed to the tree. Forward and to the right.
Now I have to sling up the rifle, and the rest of the stage is handgun.
Draw your pistol. Engage with 3 shots each.
These are pretty far pistol shots. I think they're almost 40 or 50 yards away. It's definitely a good challenge. You can see I have less of a problem here than I did on the previous stage because the lighting conditions are consistent.
Clean up with the poppers.
The poppers here are actually the targets that could have been hit during the suppressing fire, but almost no one got any of those down. And they're also pretty far away. I'm thinking about 30 yards from here. Shooting iron sights sideways from the ground is definitely more challenging. I am 5th in American Standard on this stage. I think the hood on my holster is binding up a bit after lying on it sideways in the mud. From this first position, the shooter has to get one hit on each of the corresponding targets. You'll see that from the top, we're shooting the top plate, and from the sides, we're shooting the bottom plates. We're going to do 2 iterations of that, going back to the start. And after the final target has been hit, magazine gets dropped out, and I shoot clear on the static steel off to the right. Now running back to the VTAC barricade here. From the VTAC barricade, I'm going to have to engage that static steel target that was off to the right from various ports on the barricade. Note, as we get to some of these more unusual positions, that supporting the rifle is less important than supporting my body in the right position to see through the optic. Only one makeup shot required from that last position. I think you can tell I've done this a time or two before. Now I have to take this 55-pound kettlebell up the hill. There's a stick that I have to get to, then I have to run back down the hill with it. I chose to throw the kettlebell over my shoulder, so I wasn't using muscle to support it the whole time. Having the weight on top of my shoulder for this, 150 yards back and forth or whatever it is, really wasn't a big deal. The stage was definitely the longest for most people out of the whole match, because once we get back here to shoot, there's a mandatory spinner rotation and a secondary bonus spinner rotation. Definitely huffing and puffing after carrying the kettlebell back and forth. If I had to do this again, since I'm not allowed a bipod in American Standard Division, I would probably pick a lower step on the VTAC and go reverse kneeling if I could to be more supported. And the reason I say that is I'm actively having to work to control my respiration and send the shots between breathing in and out. Moving on to engaging the bonus spinner at this point. The further I get into this, the more I get my respiration under control and the easier it is to get hits. I am first in American Standard Division on the stage. Interesting to note that only 3 of us got the bonus. I think the trench stage is everyone's favorite just because it looks cool. The gimmick here is that all the reloads are in the ammo cans, so I don't want to miss targets so much that I actually have to reload at all, because reloading out of the can is going to be a slow and cumbersome process. All of the static steel targets hit require 2 hits each here if you're using an intermediate caliber. From this position, I don't even bother setting the ammo can all the way down, and I make the hits controlling the rifle one-handed. Again, shooting one-handed on these targets here that just require some rounds to be dumped at them.
What am I looking for?
Circle behind the tree.
Lollipop.
And the great thing about brutality matches is coaching is allowed. I was looking for a silhouette there and not recognizing one of the circular targets as the thing I was supposed to shoot. Rifle targets all successfully neutralized without needing to reload. Going to finish out on these pistol targets here. One of them's a bit stubborn, but I hammer it over. I am second in American Standard Division on this stage. Not seen on video is the Force on 4 stage with Miles gear provided by One Shepherd. This year's Force on 4 scenario was team versus team. My team was 3 versus 3, and you had to protect a VIP on each side. The teams were separated by roughly 100 yards. We could see where the opposing team was from the start position. I opted to hang back and protect our VIP while the other 2 team members advanced on the enemy team's position. At the start signal, I neutralized one of the opposing team members within seconds, letting my team know that one of the opposing team was down. That gave them the knowledge that they could more safely assault the other position while I provided covering fire. In the end, we neutralized the other team, and our team got a minus 60-second bonus. Everyone on the opposing team got a plus 60-second penalty. Well, force on force is great from a training perspective. A lot of the competitors really didn't like having this in the match from a competition perspective, so we will not be having force on force stages as part of future events. Perhaps as side events, but not as part of your overall match score. Final results. In the end, I was first out of 31 shooters in American Standard Division. Overall, I was second out of 189 shooters. I liked the additional challenge of American Standard Division not having optics on handguns and no magnification on rifle. Definitely planning on doing this division again in the future. It makes me appreciate my more advanced equipment. Thank you for watching. If you like this kind of in-depth action competition shooting analysis, please consider supporting me directly on Patreon. And always remember, the Second Amendment is for everyone.